did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, and I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That trade season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on to the hearse. Party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Happy Wednesday. Good morning and grand rising to all of you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and it is so beautiful out there today, and it's also beautiful in here today because we got Jake Grabrot back in studio with us. What up, Jake? And you guys know I do this with my partner. What up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Wednesday to all of our viewers out there. I want to thank you for tuning in and joining us today. This is a perfect opportunity to remind you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you know who could benefit from culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Got a little bit of a short show today, and actually it's because I've got this thing here today. Let's put this up, the overlay. Oh yeah, we talk about it here. At 12 o'clock, where I'm having lunch here with the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation, Rooted in History, African American Heritage Sites in King County. We can go ahead and put the link in there as well. And so from 12 to 1, this is great. We're joining the Washington Trust and the Black Heritage Society of Washington State for a special virtual event launching the new online tour of African American heritage sites in King County. And this is a pretty big deal for us. And we've put the link in there. It's not too late to register if you want to register for this. But Converge Converge Media and Carlos Imani. This was last year, it might have been 2019, early 2020, but we photographed a lot of historic sites in the Seattle area, regular photography and drone photography. And that is part of what we're discussing here as they unveil it at 12 o'clock. So we're ending the show a bit early today so I can hop on that. The link is there in the comments. You're more than welcome to sign up for that. And yeah. So
good.
Big deal.
I mean, literally it is. And I think so much of our audience and folks that are going to be logging on and linking up with that will really appreciate so much of the history that these sites carry. And, you know, SJT comes with so much, a wealth of knowledge. So looking forward to that. Oh,
yeah, I'm definitely going to be joined by Stephanie Johnson-Tolliver of the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, as well as Carlos Imani. And so, yeah, join us there at 12 o'clock. So we're going to jump right. Oh, and another thing here before we jump into headlines is today we're celebrating the 3-year birthday of Rainier Avenue Radio. So big shout out to Rainier Avenue Radio. It's your birthday.
4
and
years
so
old today.
They've got a very special event today from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And we've got Juan Cotto from Rainier Avenue Radio. He's going to be joining us via video link here shortly, right after the headlines. But let's jump right into it. This was a pretty good breakdown from CBS this morning as far as the Chauvin trial occurring in Minneapolis.
We're going to begin, of course, in Minneapolis, where the Derek Chauvin trial resumes this morning, with prosecutors expected to call investigators and then expert witnesses to testify about George Floyd's death. Yesterday, we heard very emotional testimony from several witnesses, including a little 9-year-old girl who watched a fired police officer kneel on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. Jamie Yukas is covering the trial. Jamie, why was their testimony so significant? It was very difficult to hear those little voices.
I think it was not only difficult, but it was impactful. The state's hoping that those young people, Gail, who testified will make a big impression on the jury. We know one juror is a grandmother who studied child psychology and could understand how witnessing this traumatic event may have changed these young people's lives. Again, we do want to warn you, the video is disturbing.
Prosecutors witnessed Darnella Frazier was 17 years old when she saw Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck.
I heard George Floyd saying, "I can't breathe, please get off of me. I can't breathe." He cried for his mom. He was in pain.
She recorded the nearly 10-minute video of Floyd's death.
It's been nights I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more and not physically interacting and not saving his life.
Darnella's 9-year-old cousin, Judea Reynolds, was with her that day and saw the same scene.
I was sad and kind of mad. It felt like he was stopping his breathing, and it is kind of like hurting him.
How hard is it to have a teenager and a 9-year-old take the stand?
Extremely difficult because jurors are human beings.
Criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino is not affiliated with the case.
No one, as any human being will tell you that has any heart, wants to see a child in trauma or wants to see a child relive trauma. I mean, how from the defense side can you ever cross-examine?
The defense did not press the young witness, but central to their case is the claim that officers perceived the people there to be a threat and they were distracted by them.
You called him a bum at least 13 times.
That's what you counted in the video?
That's what I counted.
And that's what you got, 13.
Those terms grew more and more angry.
They grew more and more pleading for life when I stayed in my body. You can't paint me out to be angry.
On his second day on the witness stand, Donald Williams explained why he called 911 after watching Derek Chauvin kneel on George Floyd's neck.
I did call the police on the police.
And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
Genevieve Hansen, a Minneapolis EMT and firefighter, was off duty that day.
You think that's okay? Check his pulse.
She said she pleaded with the officers to administer aid or allow her to.
You couldn't do that? How did that make you feel?
Totally distressed.
Defense attorney Eric Nelson asked Hansen if she would be able to properly do her job as a firefighter if a crowd of people were trying to interfere.
You wouldn't be distracted by that at all?
No.
What if they started calling you names?
Like I said, I know my job, and I would be confident in doing my job.
Tamburino says the defense's case lies in whether they are able to present crystal clear medical evidence that something other than Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck killed him. He also says after all of this powerful testimony, the defense may want to consider putting Chauvin on the stand. Adriana?
Jamie, thank you.
Right. And so one of the two takeaways from yesterday is the black guy there, they tried to paint him as the angry black guy. It was like, you were calling him a bum, you were calling him this, that. And they were saying that Chauvin maintained his posture because they felt threatened by the people who were on the sidewalk there taking video and yelling at them to remove the knee. And then also, like the EMT pointed out, she was like, she wanted to give aid. They wouldn't let her give aid. But she said that, when they were asking her, like, well, would you be distracted if people were calling you names? She's like, no, I'm trained for this. I'm focused on my job.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, they've done a great job of pulling these eyewitnesses into this case so that we can actually hear their perspective from that very, uneventful, unfortunate day, to be honest, very eventful, but unfortunate day. And when I hear them going for that angry black man and talking about calling him a bum 13 times has nothing to do with how they should be on their job doing what is right. And when I also hear the testimony from those that say they were able to hear George Floyd saying he could not breathe, calling for his mother, that means the officer right there with the knee on the neck could also hear that if people feet away could hear it. So my thing is that why wasn't that a part of, him being able to redirect and, make sure that he just got under the handcuffs, they get him in the car. Why did he stand there with the knee on the neck for so long? I think that that's one of the things. If they do end up putting Chauvin on the stand, I mean, they really got to come for, why did you continue when you hear this, when you're hearing the witnesses say, please stop this, when you're being accosted in a way that says, look, you got to cut this out, man. Why are you doing this? Ultimately, that's the thing I really want him to be able to speak towards, man. This is
right. Well, what the defense attorney is trying to do is trying to put doubt about everybody because that's what they have. If there's any doubt, then it very well might lead to a mistrial or to a not guilty. And so, here's the angry black man. Here's the hysterical EMT. Here's the, they left the kids alone. But that's part of the defense strategy is to kind of paint it like the officers felt threatened. So
it's also unfortunate too, because when you think about the young people that were there, that were witnessing this, and them having to go home and all this time later, still being traumatized, that for me is where it's at, because we talk about this time and time again, that when people witness this, that when it's people's families, that his whole entire family has to look at this kind of footage and look at this video and see their family member on the ground like that. It is hard to watch that. It's hard to hear the testimony from young people that are like, man, I'm having my own ideas, probably nightmares, and just thinking about this, saying, what could I have done in that moment? Why didn't I do something? That's something that carries with them for the rest of their lives. I'm sure of that. And there's no real measure, no data metric that showcases what that kind of trauma and how it plays out in these people's lives.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my life, I've seen quite a few people get killed, and it stays with you, and well, like I said, we'll see what happens here, but that's the defense attorney's route. The EMT was back on the stand earlier this morning, and so we'll continue to update everybody. Got another clip here. This comes over from Malcontent News from David Obelts and Malcontent. So the story up there is Snohomish County at one of the schools up there. They're saying that there's been death threats against Black students up there in Snohomish County, and there'd been no action taken. And so David Obelts and Malcontent News, they sat down with Dr. Janice Green from the Snohomish County NAACP and talked about what's going on up there.
We're talking to you today about this ongoing incident that's happened at Marysville Pilchuck High School. Could you give us a little bit of background on that story?
In December, there was a student in a leadership forum class that they started discussing killing Black people. And they had names of people that they planned on killing. And then they said, well, we're going to kill these ones. Yes, these ones. Yes. Well, not this one. It was a Zoom meeting. The teacher, I believe, wasn't in there, that came back. And actually, it was reported.
The situation wasn't rectified after that. The situation continued to escalate, and there's now a number of people involved, and with what we understand, additional threats.
A couple of months later, there's a young man with a hand on the gun saying, killing minorities soon. And one of the students actually took that Snapchat, took a screenshot of the Snapchat, said that she was afraid and wanted it taken care of. It was not taken care of. They're saying that it wasn't that child's fault, that he didn't do that another person who's 20 years old took that photo on his account. And then it comes out later that person with the hand on the gun that said killing minorities soon is a 20-year-old son of a police officer. So it gets deeper and deeper as we move through.
Just to clarify, when you say it's not a 20-year-old police officer, but a relative of a City of Marysville police officer?
That's what they say. They say it's a relative of a City of Marysville police officer. And the reason that they're not investigating in Marysville is that there would be a conflict of interest. So they turned it over to the sheriff's office.
Dr. Green, it seems in this day and age where a 20-year-old would have grown up going through active school shooter drills, would understand the significance of a Snapchat holding a gun saying, going to kill minorities soon.
Here you have our kids getting ready to go back to school. They're going to be face to face. You've got people threatening their lives, and doesn't seem to be anything happening immediately. Now, when you ask about the investigation will be finished sometime in April. But you're sending our kids back into school with threats hanging in the air, with people not being held accountable, with people not having to deal with the consequences of their behavior. And so what message are you sending to them? That their lives are just not that important, or you don't care that much? I would be very concerned about sending my children to school with those type of death threats hanging in the air.
What does the NAACP of Snohomish County want to have happen out of this incident?
We would like to see appropriate charges, appropriate action for the for the young people that made the threats, for the 20-year-old that was holding the gun. We want to have that happen. We also want to hold the school district accountable.
All right, so Snohomish County right there, and this is something that's been brewing up there actually for months. Big thank you to David Obelts and Malcontent News for sending that over.
I mean, this is, my gosh. Oh, we be talking about this kind of stuff all the time. And then we get an example like this that just showcases when we're talking about the fact that Black communities have had a continual threat to their lives. It has not stopped. When we're talking about hatred towards particular people, Black people in this country have suffered that at exponential rates. And here we are, we have an opportunity to be preventive, to make sure that this action does not occur, and they weren't doing anything about it. When students are coming out and talking about the fear for their lives, especially in 2021, where we have so many examples of school shootings, mass school shootings for a wide majority of reasons. This right here really hits home for me as I think about my son going back into school in a decolonized educational space, with majority Black and brown students, majority Black and brown staff, to hear something like this and the fact that it was slow-footed to try to figure out what's going on. This is, again, man, this is why the news sometimes gets hard, because that's heavy. That's weighing heavy on me today when I think about how I was excited for my son to get back into school at least 2 days a week, so that some sense of normalcy, what he's known, because online has been hitting our students so hard. And, they they long for the social interaction, to meet new students. He was, ninth grader, so he's changing schools and wanting to, find out who he's in classrooms with. And here we are, even if it is in Snohomish County. Again, the ideals of racism permeate deep. And when it comes from one generation down to the next, it's unfortunate, because there should be charges against this person, literally, to prevent this. And I really am thinking to myself as that story was playing, oh, what do we have to do? Do we actually have to wait for the shooting to occur before, he can really be apprehended? That's what I was sitting there thinking.
Yeah, well, a few things. One, you said that we're waiting for things to get back to normal and people going back to school. But unfortunately, gun violence in schools has become normal in our country. And, the second thing is like I think this also kind of shows as well that for not only we talk about our city, but also our region, where we espouse an ideology that perhaps we aspire to, but that's not the real actual truth here on the ground. We say that this is such an open and inclusive and liberal and loving and all these kind of words that we use, but the data just doesn't match up. And we see continuously, whether it's here in the municipality of Seattle, where hate crimes are on the rise, or in Martin Luther King County, where hate crimes are on the rise. I don't have the numbers out of Snohomish County, but this is where this story is coming from. And sooner or later, we have to have an honest conversation out here about who we really are. And maybe we need to stop espousing that we're so kumbaya and everything. And once we do that, we can actually address these deep-seated issues that are key drivers for this hate that we see in our region.
Absolutely. And I think you make such a valid point, because it is not what some may think, like, oh, this is, happening majority in, these outskirts of town. No, it's happening in the inner cities. It's happening in the suburbs. It doesn't matter. And that's all the way out there. Like you said, Snohomish County, Marysville area, that we know that's actually, again, a predominantly white area. That is something that permeates every district really within Washington state. And unfortunately, this is something that I feel like they have a duty to make an example out of somebody who thinks it's okay to even purport that kind of violence is going to take shape in any school system, in any environment. They really do have an opportunity right now to showcase that this will not be tolerated here.
All right. Well, we're going to stay on top of this. I know that David Obelts and the team over there at Malcontent, they're really invested in this story. And so we're going to stay on top of this in communication with them and see what happens there. Before we go to break, we've been on top of this Amazon Fresh that's opening there on 23rd, and seeing, when they talked about they're going to have jobs, they're going to have this, and that, and everything else. So we've been on them, and they sent out a media alert today here saying that tomorrow they're having a virtual recruiting event from 9 to 5. This is for the Amazon Fresh on 23rd in Jackson. And so the store is there, the store is opening, and now it's really up to us whether our people are going to go and actually pick up some of these jobs that are there or not. There's a link that all you put in there, but basically it's something on Indeed. You can go to Indeed. The jobs, when I looked at them, it looks like all the jobs are $17 an hour, but they're on 23rd and Jackson. I thought it was important to mention because I'm like, well, the store is there. Now, who's actually, and that was one of the big things they talked about, was like, oh, we're bringing so many jobs to communities. So now who's actually going to get the jobs? And so we want to put that information out to our community, and that link is there.
I think I'll be honest with you. I don't have a ton of faith unless there's a real direct action to say that we are ensuring that we are hiring and employing people that either have historically been here, that have been displaced from here, that are aiming to move back, that our people will primarily be getting those jobs. What we saw with PCC on 23rd and Union and what they purported to do and what they wanted to do with community, we unfortunately didn't really see that manifest. And so again, I think that when we talk about, trust being eroded from, community and the corporate sector, that is something that has been decades and decades in the making. And, they really do have an opportunity here to be direct. I'm glad that Converge has the media release and that we can stay on them. But again, I think that, it really is up to Amazon to say, we are going to be very specific about how we're going to employ people in this location and how we're going to try to find a way to build relationship with community here, and not just be servicing the transplants that may work in our location in South Lake Union, or the ones that live in the area, or the ones that can afford to even live in the building. So there's a lot that I could say about this, but those are just some of my thoughts off the top.
I think that, since this line of communication is open here with Amazon around this Amazon Fresh on 23rd, these are issues that I'm going to follow up with them, and so you put the link there. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the link is in the comments. So if you know anybody that's looking for a job in the Central District, it looks like starting pay $17 an hour. I believe there's benefits there and everything else. So let's do our part. We're putting the message out there, and let's follow back up with Amazon, and let's see what their strategy is and what is their strategy. Because, the release comes through. It's about jobs. I'm always going to try to tell people about where some work is at. Yeah. But let's follow up with Amazon and see how intentional they are in their hiring process, and see if there's, affirmative marketing for people maybe who are from the neighborhood or have been displaced and anything else in their hiring strategy around it. So, we continue to ask these questions.
There we go. We have to do it, man. Also, too, really the fact that there's opportunity for management level roles, and what is that going to look like? Because oftentimes
growth opportunity.
Exactly. And we talk about people being, comfortable when they see management that looks like them as well. So I think that's a part of it.
All right. Well, definitely. this event is tomorrow, so perhaps we could follow up with Amazon on Friday or Monday and see exactly what the turnout was, who showed up, who did what. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're joined by Juan Cotto of Rainier Avenue Radio. Today, Rainier Avenue Radio is celebrating their 3rd birthday. It's 4th. You sure it's 4th? Hot dog, 4th. All right, so it's their fourth birthday, and we're going to be joined by Juan. He's going to tell us about the activities that Rainier Avenue Radio has going on. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
Public Health, Seattle, King County, Zero Youth Detention, along with our partners from across the South King County region, are committed to reducing violence and creating the conditions needed for our neighborhoods to be safe and free of crime. Too often, the response to crime and violence has been a piecemeal approach with a program here and a program there. When family units collapse, schools fail to educate, the economy fails to produce jobs, and crime rises, we've looked to law enforcement and punitive measures to save us. Nothing could be more wrong or further from the truth. Law enforcement can't shoulder all the burden or take the rest of us off the hook. We are acknowledging the lived experiences of Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. We are centering community as the experts who can effectively identify key issues related to systems, policies, and practices that impact children, families, and communities of color across this region. Those most impacted by the issues will help call out and identify the root causes, including structural and systemic factors. 150 residents will partner with King County to develop strategies, solutions, and an action plan that explicitly addresses system changes needed and eliminates barriers to access for Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks. These residents will also identify the criteria used to measure our collective success. Simply put, we need your help as we do the work needed to make King County the safest in this country. It will take specific commitments from all of us, community members, our young people, elders, and leaders from the sectors all across this region. Together, we will get this work done. Please click the link below and sign up for a work group. Or you can recommend a co-facilitator from community for each work group. We look forward to hearing your ideas, concerns, feedback, and solutions as we build a community where all our children can be happy, healthy, hopeful, safe, and thriving.
The story of Converge Media did not start at the Seattle protests or at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, nor 4 years ago when we very first opened our doors. The true story of Converge Media is firmly rooted in the legacy of Black media heroes of yesterday whose shoulders that we stand upon today. Converge Media is firmly rooted in the pioneering spirit of Horace Caton Sr., who over 125 years ago launched the Seattle Republican newspaper alongside his wife, Susie Revels Caton, a trailblazer in her own right, serving as the associate editor, a groundbreaking feat for a woman and especially a Black woman at that time. We are rooted in the visionary eye of Al Smith, who documented Black beauty, culture, vibrance, and excellence through his lens. We are rooted in the benevolence of Fitzgerald Beaver, who envisioned the Facts newspaper, the very same newspaper where my father, James Salisbury Jr., was a staff photographer over 4 decades ago. We are rooted in the broad and innovative shoulders of Chris Bennett, who with the Z-Twins radio took the story of Black excellence to the airwaves. We are rooted in the fearlessness of Roberta Bird Barr, who 56 years ago broke ground and shattered stereotypes as she hosted the TV show Face to Face that tackled issues of race and equity head on. We are rooted in the rhythms of Gordon Curvey, whose music Inner City brought our culture and vibes to TV screens across the Emerald City. Converge Media is also inspired by our contemporary icons. We are inspired by the commitment to storytelling from Tony B and Rainier Avenue Radio, and inspired by the passion and dedication of Marcus Harrison Green of the South Seattle Emerald. So you see, when you look at Converge Media today, and especially as we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Morning Update Show, just know that our story did not begin with us, nor will it end with us, as it is our duty at Converge Media to broaden our shoulders for the next generation of Black media innovators, to stand firmly upon them and to tell the stories of our community to generations yet to come. Share the stream. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And you see in that video, the reason why we played it is we talked about who we're inspired by, and definitely inspired by the team over there at Rainier Avenue Radio. Oh yeah, D'Alessandro, please bring in Juan. Hey, Juan.
Hi, Juan.
Hey, Omari and Trey, how are you today? And Trey, there's some things I'm working on. I was really inspired. First of all, I was really inspired by the video. And just what a wonderful way to just celebrate the community radio that Converge and so many of the great stations and newspapers, and like you said, the generations that we stand upon represent, and telling our stories and sharing those stories in the community. That was a beautiful tribute. And second of all, Trey, I'm working on some projects, and I hope to get your number. I'd love to share them with you in regards to education. I think there's some things that we do, that the story that you were just sharing up in Snohomish County is extremely disturbing, and I believe that parents everywhere should take a look at how we're educating our children. And once again, I just want to thank Converge Media for bringing these stories to light, because if you're not telling these stories, no one hears about them.
Yeah, absolutely, Juan. I agree 100%. You got it, man. We'll make sure we get connected.
Thank you. Well, today it's all about you guys over there, Rainier Avenue Radio. Maybe you can. One, tell our audience a little bit more about Rainier Avenue Radio, and also as well tell everybody about the celebration today.
Absolutely, and all the credit and all of the fanfare. And you showed a brief video of him with Representative Pramila Jayapal, Tony B, who I've known in the community for quite a long time. I met Tony about 20 years ago, and had a friendship with him. And let me tell you something about Tony B, Omari and Trey. He's someone, when I was the community relations director at Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center, and I had programs going on in the community. Tony B, when he was at his other position for one of the mainstream radio stations, and he was hosting a program called Street Beat, he would have people he would have people on his show that I would bring in from out of town, and all I'd have to do was make one phone call. He would do stories promoting their arrival. He would do stories promoting the different types of either research and or different things that they were doing in the community. And he's been someone who has been so just such a wonderful person to promote issues in our Black community here in Seattle. And I know that he went through just a little bit of a health issue and took some time away from the mainstream radio. And then when he got himself healthy, he was looking at different things that he wanted to do, and he wanted to start a community radio station and really starting to share these stories and share these voices in the community. And Tony went ahead and he had a low power FM station, and oftentimes in our community, sometimes there tends to be a power grab and some butting of heads on those things, but he didn't let that deter him. He had this very, very powerful idea of an online radio station, and the rest is really history. He was able to develop, with the help of two people in particular, Daniel Bellis and James Street, who have been mainstays with him over the last 4 years, an online vision and an online presence, which has grown, and he's given the community an opportunity to share what they want to hear and what they want to do in their voices. He's hosted numerous shows, and not only in sports and music, but also in current events, public affairs, and community engagement. He's taken this radio medium out to the community events, and he has given people an opportunity to share different things that they've been doing in the community. And once again, he has given us an opportunity, and working alongside Rick Dupree and Edwin Bailey, we feel it's important to tell the stories of our young people in the community. And one of the things that we do is we broadcast high school sports, sharing those stories. We have always had students involved in that who are interested in broadcast journalism, and they serve as our producers. And Tony has created a vehicle which has allowed young people to get their entry level into journalism without having to go to a mainstream radio station, and really get an understanding and the responsibility to develop their skills as they move forward. So my hats have always been off to Tony, and it's such a great opportunity to represent the radio station today. And we're really excited about this 4th anniversary.
Absolutely, Juan. I mean, what a great summary there, because, we have, again, as that video really showcased, we just love what you guys are doing. You guys have really continued, Tony B's legacy, as you said, in mainstream media. What are folks going to be excited about when it comes down to this 4-year anniversary? I know you guys probably have a full lineup. Me and Omari say it all the time. You guys are jam-packed with your content. What are some of the main points that are going to be really addressed for this celebration?
Well, Tony really wants to hear from the community. And starting today at 1:30 to 2 o'clock, he's got a birthday celebration show. And he's hoping that the community is going to call in and really emphasize, what do you want to hear in terms of programming, in terms of issues and concerns that you care about. And also, and I think this is important because it's one that takes a little bit of time, but it has so much benefit. Would you like to be a broadcaster, producer, or maybe potentially be involved in another type of way to come and do a show at Rainier Avenue Radio? And it's really, really interesting. I have interviewed on a couple of different shows that we do people who are very active in the community, and when they come in, how nervous they are in the radio station. And I'm sure you guys have probably noticed you get some of the same experience. But once they see that it's such a friendly environment, and it's such a powerful medium, I think it takes away a lot of the mystery of working in radio. So Tony is really trying to find people who really have a message to share in the community that will have impact. Hopefully people will consider doing a radio show, and it really is a way to really not only extend your message, but as the two of you showed earlier in that tribute, you can really impact our community in some necessary ways and some positive ways.
Right. Well, I tell people all the time, and when Tony B joins us over here, Tony B is definitely the dean of the class, and I don't think anybody interviews more people than Tony B. The community should is able to see the work ethic of Rainier Avenue Radio if you just look at Black History Month. Yeah. And we checked in with Tony B every Monday during Black History Month because of the extensive programming, the intentional extensive programming that Rainier Avenue Radio had during Black History Month. And I'll just say this is like, man, we're really proud of Rainier Avenue Radio. We want to continue to uplift and uphold Rainier Avenue Radio. We encourage our viewers right now to go and support Rainier Avenue Radio and be a part of that. And me and you are going to have to hook up, Juan. Many moons ago, I used to be a broadcaster for the Black College Sports Report. So I was down south covering Black college basketball and football.
Oh, I love it.
I have to hang out.
Omari, I just want to say one thing too, and you touched on it. You both did. Just as far as the journalism and the integrity of the journalism, Tony Benton is a fantastic reporter, first and foremost, and he has not only in his prior days when he was working for Clear Channel Broadcasting, you'd listen to that show and you were just impressed with him as a broadcaster. But the quality of the questions, the depth of the questions, his research, his topics, and the way he presents it. And I have to throw Rick Dupree, who also was on mainstream radio for a while. But the two of them, but Tony in particular, he's an outstanding broadcaster, and it's just so much fun to work with him. And I've learned so much from him just by the way he goes about doing his job and the way that he certainly, in my mind, is the best interviewer in the city.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, the thing is, good people attract good people, and that's why Rainier Avenue Radio continues to grow and blossom. We gotta let you go, Juan, and enjoy it. Can we put up that overlay one more time here, real quick?
Thank you.
Today, Rainier Avenue Radio, and what they want you to do is tell us what you want, and there it is, right there, starting at 1:30. Check this out. We want to support Rainier Avenue Radio. And Juan, please pass our birthday wishes in regards to the team over there, okay?
Most definitely will. Thank Omari and Trey. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And congratulations to you on the anniversary of the morning show and the impact that you guys have had on this community.
Thank you so much, Juan.
Thank you, Juan. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Together. Okay.
Man,
there we go, man.
Rainier Avenue Radio. Tony B, the dean of the class.
We say it every time because it really is. That's what it's about. And Juan just talked about it right there. And again, giving reverence to, Tony B. I love hearing that. Oftentimes we don't see, hey, we do it here. Black men to black men. I love seeing that because it really showcases the connectivity of our community, man.
Yeah, and people should realize, it's we blacks, the black media here in Seattle, it's like we're all competitors, right? Because we're all vying for eyeballs. We all want everybody to pay attention to us and viewership and everything else. And so there's a competitive nature, but above that competitive nature, there's a brotherhood and a sisterhood that's there. And it's, it's really dope that we're able to always uplift each other. Then, next month is an anniversary for the South Seattle Emerald.
There we go.
So I'm sure we'll be talking to Marcus about that. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, it's all about Mochaculture. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. for Mochaculture, a docuseries meets concert experience that knits the stories of our local arts community and the legendary voices of color that inspire them. This Friday is Episode 1, Ray Charles, with performances by Eva Walker, Maya Marie, Chris King, and Jimmy James. hosted by Shayna Shepherd and presented by Converge Media and the South Seattle Emerald. Tune in wherever you're watching the Morning Update.
All right.
That one
Mochaculture.
got me going. I can't wait, man. That's going to be a nice show. Those guys have some amazing voices. So there we go, man. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and again, this is something that we're real proud of here at Converge. This is our, it's our production, and actually everything that the audience can't see it, but everything that's here in this studio right now went over there to shoot that. Like that. I mean, I was nervous because these cameras and lights and stuff never leave the studio ever. But I mean, the vision of it of Shayna Shepherd and producer Nikki Barron were like, yo, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be dope, we're gonna see these songs, everything else. I'm like, okay. And what they came up with, the end product, I mean, I think that our audience is going to be really surprised in a great way with the finished product here, and especially those who love music. And to see these artists perform and get down and jam and everything else, it's real nice. That's this Friday.
Yeah, one thing I gotta say, and just thinking about Converge and how dedicated Converge has been to showcasing artistry throughout COVID, because we understood how hard hit that sector really was. I think all the way back to the tip jar. I think about having bands on here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been a real intentionality behind showcasing the artistry within Seattle. Different co-productions, like with Big Building. I mean, Converge has really been about that. So I just love seeing the evolution of that.
Yeah. I mean, the same week that the Morning Update show started. Morning Update show started on a Thursday. And that Sunday we had Goodie Bag performing live there at Black Dot. And it's like we didn't build this platform for us. Didn't build it for Omari or for Treyana. We built this Converge platform for our community. And people in the arts, especially music, do comprise a lot of our community, either their artists or our great appreciation of their art.
Yeah.
And so it's important. That is this Friday at 7:00, wherever you're watching the Morning Update show. Then we want you to tune in, for Mochaculture, and all you have to put the link in there. So you guys can go and set a reminder if you're watching on Facebook, but you'll be able to watch it on any platform you're watching the Morning Update show. A few notes before we get out of here, but let me defer to you first. Any last words?
There is a rally happening tonight. It's all about cancel the rent tonight, starting at City Hall tonight at 5:30. And so, again, there's been a lot of education around eviction moratorium, how renters are going to be able to get through COVID. Come on down. Here's some more information. It's a great rally and just a cry out, because we do definitely need to make sure our renters are cared for. So tonight, 5:30 at City Hall.
All right. And like I said, we're getting out of here a bit early, but because at 12:00, and we'll go ahead and we'll put this overlay up. At 12:00, I'm joining in no, not this one yet, where we're talking about there we go. At 12:00, joining the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver, and what we put together here is Rooted in History, African-American Heritage Sites in King County. And Converge played a role in this as far as the photography and the drone video and some of everything else. And so we'll be discussing the experience on this. And this is important as well, because this project goes back almost 18 months. And we Converge commitment to storytelling about people, Black people, especially in Seattle and King County, far dates even the morning show. We did this project well before we even ever launched the morning show. So it'll be great. The link is there in the comments, so you can join me there at 12:00. And one last thing, now you can bring it up, Director. Oh yeah, tomorrow we've got Sarah Nelson, who's a candidate for Seattle City Council, position 9, and that's citywide. So we'll be joined by Sarah Nelson tomorrow, and we're gonna ask the questions. Why is she running for the D9 seat? I think it's going to be a competitive seat. You've got Sarah Nelson, you've got Breonna Thomas, you've got Nikita Oliver, all they're vying for a citywide seat.
Yeah.
And I looked at all the people who are running for mayor. Man, there's a lot of people running for mayor.
Wow.
It's a lot. All right, that's it for us for today. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate your viewership, man. Big shout out to our $5 family and some everybody else who continues to support Converge Media. You guys keep us on air.
For sure.
So until tomorrow, let me remind you to go forward with your purpose and go forward in your humanity. Catch you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing it again now. Won.